Have you ever wondered why some women walk into a room and command respect without saying a single word, while others constantly feel unseen, unheard, and overlooked? It's not luck. It's not beauty. It's boundaries. The invisible, powerful force that separates the drained from the grounded, the lost from the unshakably confident. You don't need to raise your voice, chase validation, or prove your worth to anyone. You need to draw the line and mean it. Because the truth is, until you decide what is acceptable in your life, the world will keep crossing over you like you don't matter. And you do. You matter more than you've been led to believe. If you've ever felt exhausted by people-pleasing, if you've ever bent yourself backwards just to keep the peace, if you've stayed quiet to avoid conflict while slowly eroding your self-worth, you're not alone. So many women have been taught that love means sacrifice, that kindness means never saying no, that being good means being silent. But silence doesn't protect you, it buries you. And no one comes to dig you out but you. That's where boundaries become your rescue. They are not selfish, they are sacred. They are the language of self-respect, and the starting point of a high-value life. You weren't born to be accessible to everyone. Your time, your energy, your love, they're all priceless. But if you give them away freely without standards, they become invisible. That's the cost of living without boundaries. You end up forgotten in rooms you worked hard to enter, drained by people you thought you needed, and confused about why you feel so empty. But the moment you decide that your peace matters more than pleasing others, something shifts. The fog clears. You begin to walk taller, speak less, and mean more. People start noticing the power in your presence because you're no longer trying to prove it. That shift is the beginning of becoming a high-value woman, not because of what you wear, what you earn, or how many followers you have, but because of what you no longer tolerate. That's real power. And it starts now, not tomorrow, not when they change, not when you finally feel ready, now. Because every second you delay setting boundaries is another second you're teaching the world that your needs come last, that you come last, and you don't. Stay with me, because what's coming next will change the way you move through the world. We're going to break down the 5 boundaries that every high-value woman sets, boundaries that protect your peace, your power, and your purpose. Boundaries that will teach you how to stop overgiving, stop apologizing, and start standing tall in your worth. This isn't about pushing people away. It's about finally letting the right ones in and making sure they meet you at the level you deserve. You're about to remember who you are. And once you do, everything will change. Don't go anywhere. The transformation starts here. You've been taught to keep giving, to stay soft, to smile even when your heart is breaking. But somewhere along the way you forgot that you are not a machine built for constant service. You are a human being with limits, needs, and dreams that deserve space to grow. The high-value woman understands this on a soul level. She knows her worth is not tied to how much she does for others, but to how deeply she honors herself. And that begins with how she protects her most sacred resource, her time. Time is the one thing you never get back. You can lose money and earn it again. You can lose relationships and find new ones. But every moment you give away to something that drains you is a moment you'll never reclaim. That's why the high-value woman guards her time like treasure. She doesn't overcommit to prove she's kind. She doesn't say yes out of guilt. She doesn't allow her calendar to become a dumping ground for everyone else's priorities. She knows that every time she says yes to something that doesn't serve her, she's saying no to herself. And she refuses to live in that kind of betrayal. You've done it before. Agreed to things that felt wrong in your gut. Showed up out of obligation. Spent hours trying to make others comfortable while your own spirit screamed for rest. But here's the truth. Constantly giving your time to people who wouldn't hesitate to waste it is not compassion. It's self-neglect. The high-value woman has no space for that. She respects her energy and treats her time like a currency that must be invested, not handed out for free. When you begin to do the same, people might push back. They might say you've changed. They might call you cold, selfish, or distant. Let them. Because what they're really saying is, you're no longer easy to use. And that's exactly the point. You were never meant to be endlessly available. You were meant to build, to create, to rise into your purpose. And that can't happen when your time belongs to everyone but you. Start small if you have to. 1 no at a time. 1 moment of silence instead of a quick yes. 1 hour reclaimed in your day to do something that nourishes you instead of drains you. The more you do it, the more natural it becomes. And soon people will begin to respect your time because they see that you do. You teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. And when you treat your time like it's precious, they learn that you are too. This is your permission to stop running on empty. To stop being available to everyone but yourself. Your time is your life, and your life is worth protecting. Choose wisely. Because every boundary you set becomes a step toward the woman you were always meant to be. When you finally begin to honor your time, something even deeper comes into focus. Your emotional energy. The invisible force that fuels your thoughts, your mood, your focus, your power. And just like time, it's limited. Every interaction, every conversation, every moment of emotional labor pulls from that reserve. The high-value woman doesn't waste it. She doesn't allow people to unload their chaos on her. She doesn't sit in spaces where her presence is expected, but her voice is dismissed. She protects her peace like it's oxygen, because it is. Without it, you suffocate, slowly, quietly. Until one day you wake up and don't recognize the woman in the mirror. Tired, bitter, numb. That's not strength. That's survival. And you weren't born to just survive. You've carried the weight of other people's emotions. You've absorbed their anger, their stress, their projections, trying to fix, trying to soothe, trying to keep the peace. But at what cost? Your nervous system wasn't built to be a sponge for other people's dysfunction. You were not put on this earth to emotionally babysit grown adults who refuse to grow. Every time you abandon your own feelings to accommodate theirs, you chip away at your sense of self. That quiet resentment you feel, that burnout, that sudden urge to disconnect from everything and everyone. It's not random, it's your soul begging you to draw the line. Emotional boundaries are not cruel. They are clarity. They say, I will listen, but I will not be your emotional dumping ground. I will support, but I will not be drained. I will be kind, but I will not be controlled by guilt. That is what emotional self-respect looks like. And once you claim it, your entire reality shifts. You no longer attract people who thrive on drama, manipulation, or codependency. You repel them because they sense that you're no longer emotionally available for their games. That is the gift of inner peace. It becomes a filter. And only those who value your calm will be allowed near it. This is not about becoming cold or unfeeling. It's about choosing where your emotions are invested. Choosing not to engage in arguments that go nowhere. Choosing not to carry pain that was never yours. Choosing not to explain your boundaries to people committed to misunderstanding them. The high-value woman doesn't argue with chaos. She exits. She reclaims her space. And she gives herself permission to feel without apologizing for it. When you stop overexposing your heart to people who haven't earned access to it, you begin to feel whole again. You become less reactive, more intuitive. You begin to hear your own voice above the noise. And in that stillness, you discover your true power. Not in how much you can tolerate, but in how fiercely you protect your peace. That is your strength. That is your boundary. And it's one you never have to explain. The moment you decide that your emotional well-being is non-negotiable, your entire world begins to rise to meet you. When your emotional boundaries are firm, something powerful happens. You begin to recognize the weight of your words. No longer scattered, no longer diluted by the need to please, your voice becomes focused, intentional, and anchored in truth. The high-value woman speaks with clarity, not to dominate, but to define. She does not over-explain. She does not justify. She states, she affirms, and she lets silence do the rest. Because she knows that the most powerful boundary of all is the one drawn through language. How you speak to others, how you speak to yourself, and what you allow others to speak into you. Words are not just sounds, they are energy. They shape belief, set tone, and create identity. Every time you downplay your needs, laugh off disrespect, or stay silent when something cuts deep, you are teaching yourself to shrink. But when you speak with integrity, when you communicate your needs without apology, you send a different message to others and to your own subconscious. You are telling the world, I know who I am. I know what I deserve, and I will not settle for less. You've been conditioned to soften your truth to keep others comfortable, to smile while being dismissed, to sugarcoat your boundaries so no one calls you difficult. But every time you dilute your truth, you diminish your power. You are not difficult. You are discerning. You are not cold. You are clear. And you don't need to be agreeable to be respected. You need to be honest. Because the people who matter will rise to meet your clarity. The ones who don't were only benefiting from your silence. This kind of communication takes courage. It means saying no and meaning it. It means correcting someone when they cross a line. It means holding your ground when someone tries to twist your words or guilt you into compliance. And most of all, it means talking to yourself with the same level of truth and respect. Because the internal dialogue matters just as much as the external one. You cannot expect others to honor your words if your own mind is filled with self-doubt and self-criticism. So begin there. Clean up your inner language. Replace "I'm sorry" with "thank you for understanding." Replace "maybe" with "no." Replace "I guess" with "I've decided." Speak to yourself like a woman who matters, because you do. When your words align with your worth, you no longer feel the need to prove anything. You simply exist in your truth. Calm, unshaken, rooted. This is not about speaking more. It's about speaking with more purpose. Every time you choose honesty over comfort, clarity over compliance, you reclaim another piece of your power. You become unmissable, not because you're loud, but because you're real. And in a world full of noise, nothing cuts through like the sound of a woman who knows her worth and uses her voice with intention. Let your words reflect the strength that already lives within you. Speak like a woman who has nothing to prove and everything to protect. When your voice begins to reflect your worth, your standards rise with it. Not as a performance, not as a way to intimidate or control, but as a quiet declaration of self-respect. The high-value woman holds herself to a standard that aligns with the life she is building, not the chaos she's leaving behind. She doesn't chase validation. She doesn't lower the bar to be liked. She understands that what she allows is what continues. And she no longer makes excuses for anyone who falls short of what she knows she deserves. Standards are not walls to keep people out. They are filters to let the right ones in. When you raise your standards, you shift your frequency. You no longer entertain shallow connections, mixed signals, or inconsistent behavior. You stop giving your loyalty to people who treat it like an option. And yes, it can feel lonely at first, because when you stop settling, you outgrow people. But that space you create by letting go of the wrong ones is where the right ones find room to enter. You don't build a life of peace and purpose by clinging to what you've outgrown. You build it by releasing what no longer reflects your growth. This isn't about arrogance, it's about alignment. You don't demand more from others while offering less to yourself. You show up fully, meet your own needs, and then decide who gets access to your energy. And if they can't meet you there, you let them go with grace, not guilt. Because your peace is not up for negotiation. Your values are not flexible. Your standards are not seasonal. They are rooted in the truth of who you are and the future you are creating. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. And when you start choosing peace over drama, growth over comfort, substance over superficiality, you will trigger people who benefited from your smaller self. Let them be uncomfortable. Let them call you too much. That only means you've stopped being too little for yourself. You weren't meant to shrink to fit into fragile egos. You were meant to expand into every inch of your potential. And that requires boundaries, standards, and unwavering self-awareness. It's easy to feel like setting high standards makes you hard to love. But the truth is, it makes you impossible to misuse. You become magnetic not because you're perfect, but because you refuse to accept anything less than what honors your journey. You don't settle for halfway. You don't beg to be chosen. You are already complete. Anyone who enters your life must add value, not chaos. Must elevate, not drain. Must support, not control. Hold your standard. Even when it's tested. Especially when it's tested. Because every time you choose yourself, you teach the world how to treat you. Not with fear, but with reverence. Not with empty promises, but with consistent action. That is the mark of a woman who knows her worth. And she never lowers the bar to prove it. When your standards are rooted in truth, your presence alone becomes a boundary. You no longer need to explain yourself, prove your worth, or defend your decisions. The energy you carry speaks for you. It's calm, centered, and immovable. It tells the world, I am not here to beg for a seat at any table. I build my own, and only those who come with respect, integrity, and consistency are welcome to sit beside me. This is the unshakable foundation of a high-value woman. She no longer entertains people who treat her as an option. You stop answering messages that arrive only when it's convenient for them. You no longer smile at behavior that disrespects your time. You start walking away from half-love, shallow attention, and surface-level connections that go nowhere. Because you've realized your time is not free, your energy is not infinite, and your heart is not a playground for the emotionally unavailable. When you truly know what you bring to the table, you stop waiting for people to recognize your value. You remove yourself quietly, respectfully, and completely. This is where your power sharpens, not in confrontation, but in your ability to disengage. You no longer argue with people committed to misunderstanding you. You no longer chase those who lack the capacity to meet you emotionally. You do not beg for clarity from people who communicate in confusion. You observe, you choose, and you move accordingly. Detachment is not coldness, it is maturity. It's the deep knowing that your peace is not worth trading for temporary attention or forced connection. You begin to understand that silence is a response, distance is a decision, and not reacting is a boundary. You don't need to shout your value, you live it. You embody it in how you carry yourself, in what you tolerate, and in who you allow near your inner world. The moment you stop participating in your own disrespect is the moment you step fully into your power. No more explaining to people who choose not to understand. No more making room for those who constantly make you question your worth. When you stop trying to prove your loyalty to those who wouldn't defend your name in a room you're not in, you start reclaiming your dignity. You stop apologizing for your standards. You stop softening your edges for people who only show up when it's easy. You give your best to those who've earned it, not to those who expect it out of convenience. That's what it means to live from your worth, not emotionally reacting to everything, but responding from a place of power and intention. You don't just protect your peace, you preserve your future. And every time you choose not to engage with chaos, you rise a little higher in self-respect. You begin to attract those who operate on your level, those who see your strength and mirror it with honor. That's the reward of walking away from anything that doesn't serve you. You walk directly into the life that does. You are no longer here to prove that you are good enough. You are here to remember that you always were. Every moment you spend trying to earn what should be freely given, respect, love, honesty, is a moment stolen from your own becoming. The high-value woman no longer overextends herself to be chosen. She chooses herself first. She no longer fears the silence that comes when she pulls back her energy. She knows that in that silence, truth is revealed. Who reaches out, who fades away, who valued her for her presence, not just her effort. There comes a point when exhaustion no longer feels like a sacrifice. It feels like self-betrayal. You begin to recognize that people-pleasing is a form of self-abandonment. Every yes you gave to avoid conflict became a quiet no to your own needs. Every time you stayed silent to keep the peace, you created a war inside yourself. But you're not meant to live in that tension, you're meant to rise from it. Because real power isn't loud, it's self-honoring. It's knowing that the right people won't need you to shrink to stay. This is where your identity starts to shift. You stop looking at your reflection through the eyes of others. You stop asking, what do they think of me? And start asking, what do I know about myself? You remember that worth is not given, it's remembered. It's not about becoming someone else. It's about returning to who you were before the world told you to be quieter, smaller, more agreeable. It's about reclaiming your truth and letting it set the tone for how others engage with you. You don't raise your voice to be heard, you raise your standards to be respected. You no longer make space for relationships that survive on your silence. You no longer explain basic decency. You no longer argue over your right to be treated well. You let people reveal themselves, and you believe what they show you. Because protecting your peace is not rude, it's essential, it's not selfish, it's survival. Your energy is a currency, and once you realize this, you stop spending it on things that bring no return. You invest it into your healing, your goals, your growth. You use it to build a life that doesn't just look good to others but feels right to you. You stop chasing closure from those who never gave clarity. You stop replaying conversations with people who are no longer present. You redirect your focus, not in bitterness, but in strength. You choose to live not in reaction, but in intention. This is what it means to set emotional boundaries. To no longer allow people to drain you because you fear being alone. To no longer give access to those who exhaust your spirit. It's choosing peace over patterns, strength over silence, self-respect over temporary company. And in doing so, you don't lose people, you find yourself, fully, powerfully, and without apology. The moment you stop giving unlimited access to people who only offer limited effort, you reclaim your time, your peace, and your value. You no longer entertain mixed signals, because clarity has become your standard. You don't question if someone respects you. You observe if their actions align with their words. You've learned that the ones who truly care won't leave you guessing. They'll show up, not because you begged, but because they value your presence. A high-value woman does not chase, convince, or prove. She simply aligns with what matches her worth. You begin to notice how much energy you used to pour into situations that gave you nothing back. Conversations that went in circles. People who apologized without change. Connections that felt one-sided. And you realize that your peace is not found in fixing broken dynamics. It's found in walking away from them. You no longer stay out of guilt. You no longer give from a place of fear. You give when it feels right. You stay when you feel respected. And you leave the moment you feel your soul shrinking. That shift doesn't make you harsh. It makes you whole. You're no longer waiting for permission to feel enough. You're no longer asking someone else to define your identity. You've taken back the pen and started writing your own story. One where your needs matter. One where your emotions are valid. One where your presence is not dependent on your ability to be useful, but on your right to simply be. That is your breakthrough. Not in how loudly you fight for your worth, but in how quietly you honor it. You stop explaining your boundaries. You stop justifying your standards. You realize that anyone who's intimidated by your growth was never invested in your rise. You stop shrinking for people who never had the capacity to see your full height. You rise, unapologetically, without needing to be louder, colder, or tougher, just more aligned, more self-aware, more deeply rooted in your own truth. And that truth protects you. It shields you from settling. It keeps you from returning to what broke you. It holds you steady even when it's hard. Your power is not in how much you can tolerate, but in how quickly you can release what no longer serves your evolution. You don't cling to what feels familiar. You choose what feels right. And sometimes that means walking away from what once felt like home. Because growth often feels like loss before it feels like liberation. But you trust that letting go is not rejection. It's redirection. Towards something more whole. Towards something more true. This is the level where your energy becomes sacred. Where your standards are non-negotiable. Where you stop watering dead things and start cultivating a life that nourishes you. No more dimming your light for comfort. No more accepting less for the sake of keeping peace. The real peace is in your own alignment. And once you taste that, you'll never again settle for anything that costs your self-respect. There comes a moment when you finally realize that not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone has earned the right to sit at your table, to know your heart, to witness your light. Because the more you value yourself, the more you start to discern who adds to your peace and who disturbs it. You stop feeling guilty for creating space between you and chaos. You stop making excuses for people who only show up when it's convenient. You stop apologizing for protecting your energy. That's not being guarded. That's being wise. A high-value woman no longer entertains relationships that leave her emotionally drained. She knows that love is not supposed to feel like anxiety. It's not supposed to be confusion wrapped in affection. It's not supposed to leave her questioning her worth. So she sets the standard. She chooses people who speak her language, consistency, respect, clarity. She doesn't settle for potential. She aligns with presence. And if someone's actions fall short of their words, she no longer waits for them to change. She simply lets them go. When you finally accept that your time, your energy, and your peace are your responsibility, everything shifts. You start choosing yourself in moments when you used to abandon your own needs. You start listening to that voice inside that says, "This doesn't feel right." And instead of pushing it away to avoid conflict, you honor it. You honor your inner wisdom, your intuition, your truth. Because deep down you've always known what you deserve. You just needed the courage to stop accepting less. And now you have it. You've risen from places that tried to break you. You've walked away from people who never saw your worth. You've healed parts of yourself that no one clapped for. And through it all, you've remained soft but grounded, kind but not naive, open but deeply selective. That balance is your power. You can love without losing yourself. You can give without being depleted. You can care without being controlled. This is not about becoming harder. It's about becoming clearer. Clear about who you are. Clear about what you will and will not allow. Clear about the life you're building. And as that clarity strengthens, your circle tightens. You stop chasing after people who need to be convinced. You stop investing in situations that stay stagnant. You only water what grows with you. You only pour into what pours back. You deserve a life that feels like peace. Connections that feel like safety. Environments that bring out your light, not suppress it. And the moment you decide to stop accepting chaos as normal is the moment everything changes. Your standards aren't too high. They're a reflection of how deeply you've learned to love yourself. And from this place of deep inner knowing, you no longer ask for permission to set boundaries. You simply set them. And watch your world transform around them. It's time to stop apologizing for your success, for your happiness, for your boundaries. The world has taught you to shrink, to play small, to make yourself palatable for others. But the truth is, you are not meant to be watered down. You are meant to rise, to shine, to take up space. You're not here to make everyone else feel comfortable. You are here to build a life that fills you with purpose, passion, and peace. A high-value woman is unapologetic about her worth. She knows that her dreams, her desires, and her energy are sacred. She doesn't need validation from others because she has learned to validate herself. She has learned that her value is not determined by how much she gives or how much she sacrifices for others. It is determined by how much she honors her own needs, how much she invests in her own growth, how much she chooses herself when it's hard. When you start placing the same energy into yourself that you pour into others, everything changes. You stop feeling guilty for taking care of your mind, body, and spirit. You stop feeling like you're being selfish when you put yourself first, because you understand that you cannot pour from an empty cup. And the more you invest in yourself, the more you realize you don't need to apologize for creating space in your life for growth, healing, and peace. Every high-value woman sets boundaries because she knows that boundaries are not walls. They are bridges to healthier relationships, to self-respect, and to clarity. Boundaries are a declaration of your value. They communicate that you deserve respect, that you deserve your own time, your own peace. And when you set those boundaries, you are not just protecting your space. You are honoring the powerful, beautiful woman you are becoming. People may not always understand your boundaries, but that's okay. Not everyone is meant to. Your boundaries are not for them, they are for you. They are a reminder to yourself that you have the right to decide who and what gets access to your energy. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing yourself. You don't owe anyone a reason for walking away from what doesn't serve you. And you certainly don't owe anyone a chance to dim your light. You have worked too hard to get to this point, to grow this strong, to heal from things you never thought you'd overcome. You owe it to yourself to protect your peace at all costs. The world will try to pull you in 1,000 directions, to demand things of you that are not aligned with your purpose. But when you set your boundaries, you become a force to be reckoned with. You create a life that is unapologetically yours, one that reflects your inner strength, your self-respect, and your unwavering belief in your worth. Never let anyone convince you that you are too much or too demanding. You are exactly what you need to be. And when you stand firm in your boundaries, you will find that the right people, the right opportunities, and the right experiences will come into your life. Not because you've forced them, but because you've created the space for them to thrive. You are not here to be a placeholder in someone else's life. You are not meant to settle for less than what you deserve. The world may tell you that you need to constantly give, to always be available, to put others first in order to be loved or valued. But the truth is, your worth is not tied to how much you give, nor how much you sacrifice. It is tied to who you are, your integrity, your self-respect, and your unwavering commitment to your own happiness. A high-value woman understands that her time, energy, and presence are precious. She does not allow others to drain her without consideration. She knows that her boundaries are not just for her protection, they are an act of self-love. By setting clear lines, she creates space for the things and people who truly align with her values. She lets go of the guilt that tries to creep in, the belief that she has to be everything for everyone. She realizes that by setting boundaries, she is not being selfish, but responsible. She is honoring herself, her needs, and her desires. When you begin to see yourself as valuable, worthy of respect, worthy of love, worthy of care, the way you interact with the world shifts. You no longer accept disrespect. You no longer tolerate toxic energy. You no longer settle for relationships that drain you or situations that leave you feeling empty. You learn to say no, not out of spite, but out of self-respect. You know that your energy is not infinite, and you choose wisely where to invest it. There will always be those who try to push your boundaries, who don't understand why you won't give more, do more, be more. But those who love and respect you will understand the power of your boundaries. They will see you not as someone who is closed off, but as someone who is clear about what she needs to thrive. They will respect your decision to walk away from what does not serve you, and they will admire your strength for doing so. You do not have to apologize for creating space in your life for what nurtures you. You do not have to justify your need for peace, for quiet, for solitude, for growth. A high-value woman understands that her peace is non-negotiable. She does not let anyone disrupt her mental or emotional equilibrium. She has learned that the cost of peace is high, but the rewards are far greater. And when you embrace this truth, something extraordinary happens. You start to attract what aligns with you. You start to build relationships with those who uplift and encourage you. You start to see opportunities that reflect your worth and your purpose. You become magnetic to the things that are meant for you, because you've finally let go of everything that isn't. By setting your boundaries, you are opening the door to a life that honors who you truly are. You are saying yes to yourself, and no to the noise, the distractions, and the energy drains. You are stepping into your power, and there is no going back. When you begin to set these boundaries, when you start to prioritize yourself, you'll feel resistance. You'll feel it from others and, at times, from within yourself. There may be doubts, second-guessing, and the overwhelming pull to fall back into old patterns, to give in because it feels easier, because it's what you've always done. But understand this, ease does not equate to growth. Growth requires discomfort. Growth requires you to step outside the boundaries of what is familiar and comfortable. It demands courage. But the reward is freedom. The freedom to live life on your terms, to reclaim your energy, and to decide who and what truly deserves a place in your life. In that discomfort, in that moment of inner struggle, you will uncover your true strength. You will learn just how powerful you really are. You will see that you can stand firm, that you do not have to bend to the will of others just to keep the peace or avoid conflict. You can stand in your own power and still be graceful, still be kind, still be compassionate, but without compromising your own needs and desires. This is the difference between living on autopilot and living intentionally. When you are simply reacting to the demands of others, you are not in control of your life. You are letting others dictate your energy, your time, and your emotional state. But when you learn to set boundaries, you are reclaiming that control. You are taking ownership of your choices and your life. You are no longer a passive participant in your own story. You are the author, the one who decides how the narrative unfolds. And when you take this power back, everything changes. Your relationships will change. You will begin to attract those who respect you, who understand your worth, who are willing to meet you at your level. You will stop tolerating toxic behavior because you will see it for what it truly is. An energy drain, a roadblock to your growth. You will no longer accept less than you deserve, because you will realize that you are worthy of so much more. The world will test you, and people will challenge you. But each time you stand firm in your boundaries, each time you choose yourself, you will get stronger. And with that strength will come a quiet confidence, a peace that radiates from within. You will walk into rooms with the certainty that you belong there, that you have earned your place, and that no one can take that from you. This is not about arrogance. This is about self-respect. This is about knowing your value, understanding your power, and never again allowing anyone to make you feel small. It is about standing tall, even when the world around you tries to make you shrink. The moment you recognize your worth, the moment you commit to protecting your peace, is the moment your life transforms. And that transformation will ripple out into everything you do, every relationship you have, and every opportunity that comes your way. You will not just survive, you will thrive, and that is the life you deserve. Internal server error, you are not defined by the chaos around you. You are not the sum of the challenges that come your way, nor are you the result of the negative energy that tries to latch onto your life. You are more than the battles you face, more than the people who test your boundaries. You are the strength that rises in the face of adversity. You are the calm amidst the storm, the unwavering force that chooses peace over chaos. But to embody that power, you must first believe in it, claim it, and protect it fiercely. You cannot pour from an empty cup. And yet, so many people expect you to. They will demand your time, your energy, and your care, without ever considering the cost it has on your well-being. They will take and take, until you have nothing left to give. This is where you draw the line. You must protect what is yours. Not just your material possessions or your time, but your peace, your happiness, and your energy. These are your most valuable resources, and they deserve your protection. There is a quiet strength in choosing yourself. It's not the loud, aggressive strength that forces people to submit, but the inner strength that refuses to bend or break. It's the strength that chooses self-respect over approval, independence over dependency, and peace over drama. And once you step into this power, once you embrace your worth and your right to peace, nothing will feel the same again. No one can make you feel small. No one can guilt you into sacrificing your well-being for their comfort. You have learned that your peace is non-negotiable, and you will not let anyone disrupt it. It's a revolutionary act to choose to protect your energy. The world will try to make you feel guilty for it. People will try to convince you that you should always be available, always be giving, always be the one to compromise. But you are not here to live for others. You are here to live for yourself. You are here to create the life you deserve, to nurture your mind, body, and soul, and to honor your own needs. Every time you say no to something that doesn't align with your values, you are saying yes to yourself. Every time you choose peace over drama, you are choosing the life you are meant to live. Every time you honor your boundaries, you are stepping into the next level of your power. It may feel uncomfortable at first, but that discomfort is a sign of growth. That discomfort means you're pushing yourself beyond the limits that others have set for you, and even the limits you've set for yourself. You will be tested. People will try to pull you back into old patterns, into old ways of thinking, into familiar relationships that drain you, but you are stronger than that. You have learned that you are worthy of more than the chaos, more than the distractions, and more than the toxic energy. You are worthy of peace, of joy, and of everything that makes you feel whole. And as you continue to protect your energy and honor your boundaries, you will begin to notice how much more you have to give. You will find that your cup is full again, overflowing with love, strength, and resilience. You will attract the people, opportunities, and experiences that align with your newfound sense of self-worth, and you will realize that by choosing yourself, you have unlocked a life that is richer and more fulfilling than you ever imagined. When you take control of your energy, you begin to see the world through a different lens. The noise, the distractions, the demands, they no longer have the power to steal your focus. You stop living on autopilot, reacting to everything around you. Instead, you become the creator of your own life, the architect of your own path. Every decision becomes deliberate, every choice made with purpose, and you start moving toward the life you deserve with unwavering confidence. You have the ability to create a life where peace is the foundation, where your choices are rooted in self-respect, and where every step you take leads you closer to your vision. But to get there, you must release the weight of the past, the guilt, the regret, the fears that have been holding you back. Let go of the idea that you owe anyone an explanation for choosing your own happiness. You don't have to justify your worth, your energy, or your boundaries. They are yours to protect, and protecting them is not selfish, it's necessary. Your mind is a powerful force, and it responds to the energy you feed it. If you surround yourself with negativity, doubt, and toxic influences, it will be harder to manifest the peace and joy you desire. But when you choose to feed your mind with positivity, with affirmations of your own strength and worth, you begin to transform. You become aligned with your true potential, tapping into a source of power that's been inside you all along, waiting to be unleashed. You were never meant to play small. You were never meant to hide in the shadows, waiting for permission to live your truth. Your light is meant to shine brightly, to inspire those around you, to create waves of positive change in your life and the lives of others. But that light cannot shine if it's buried beneath layers of fear, self-doubt, and guilt. You must choose to step into your own greatness, to stop dimming your light in the face of external pressures. The world will try to convince you that you need more than what you already have, that your worth is tied to your accomplishments, your possessions, or your social status. But none of that is true. Your worth is inherent, and it has always been within you. The only thing you need to do now is believe in it. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. The only person who needs to see your value is you. And once you truly recognize your own worth, everything in your life will shift. Opportunities will open up. People who align with your energy will gravitate toward you. You'll attract what you've always desired simply by being in your power. It's not about waiting for someone else to validate you. It's about claiming your own validation, standing firm in your own belief, and trusting that everything you need is already within you. The moment you stop looking for outside approval is the moment you free yourself to live authentically, to follow your own path, and to step into the life that's waiting for you. When you finally recognize that you are worthy, when you step into the fullness of your power, you unlock a force within you that changes everything. The world around you may not instantly change, but your perception of it will. No longer will you be weighed down by the need to please others, or the endless search for validation. Your life is not a reflection of how others see you, but how you see yourself. This shift, this simple yet profound realization, is the key that will unlock the doors to a future you never dreamed possible. Every step you take from this point forward becomes a declaration that you are no longer the person who accepts less than what you deserve. You are no longer the person who settles, who sacrifices their peace for the comfort of others, who ignores their own needs in favor of trying to fit into someone else's mold. You are now the person who sets boundaries, who knows their worth, who refuses to let fear dictate their decisions. You are the one who shows up for yourself first, before anyone else, because you understand that only from a place of self-respect can you truly give to others. The shift isn't just mental, it's spiritual, it's emotional, it's physical. Your energy changes when you stop compromising your true self for the approval of others. And when your energy shifts, the world shifts with it. People who do not align with your newfound power will start to fall away. Not because you push them away, but because your energy no longer matches theirs. And in their place, you'll attract those who honor your strength, who celebrate your growth, who support you as you continue to rise. It's not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about showing up each day, even on the days when it feels hardest, and saying, I am worthy, I am powerful, I am enough. It's about embracing the discomfort of growth, understanding that the discomfort is a sign that you are on the right path. The path to transformation is never easy, but it is always worth it. Each step you take toward embracing your true self is a victory, and those victories compound, creating a life filled with strength, resilience, and unwavering confidence. You are capable of greatness, but greatness doesn't come from waiting for it to find you. It comes from deciding to claim it, from taking ownership of the life you desire, and from refusing to let anything stand in your way. No obstacle, no challenge, no person has the power to take away your greatness unless you give them that power. You control your life, your choices, your future. The moment you step into that truth is the moment everything changes. Every single day you have the opportunity to choose yourself. You can choose to let the past define you, or you can choose to rise above it. You can choose to let fear keep you in the shadows, or you can choose to step into the light. The choice is always yours. And the moment you choose yourself, everything else falls into place. Your world will transform in ways you never thought possible. And you'll realize that the life you've been waiting for was always within your grasp. All you had to do was reach for it. When you begin to realize your worth, you start to see everything differently. No longer do you seek validation from outside forces. You understand that the power to shape your reality lies within you. Your value is not determined by anyone's opinion or external circumstances. It is inherent, it is yours, and nothing can change that truth. As you claim your worth, you free yourself from the chains of insecurity, doubt, and fear. These are the chains that once held you back, but now you have the power to break them, to rise above the noise and become who you were always meant to be. It's in the moments of silence, when the world around you grows quiet, that you can truly hear your inner voice. The voice that knows what you are capable of. It's the voice that tells you to push harder, to rise above, to keep going when the path ahead seems unclear. This voice is the key to your transformation, the voice of courage and self-assurance, the voice that says, I can and I will. Trust it, because it will guide you through every obstacle, through every setback, through every challenge. And when you trust this voice, nothing will be able to stand in your way. The power of this shift in perspective is undeniable. The moment you recognize your worth, you stop tolerating the things that once drained you, the situations that no longer serve you, and the relationships that hold you back. You begin to demand more for yourself, not from a place of arrogance, but from a deep understanding that you deserve better. You are worthy of peace, of happiness, of success, and of love. The more you honor your worth, the more your life begins to reflect that truth. As you continue on this journey, you'll encounter moments of doubt, of fear, of uncertainty. These are natural, but they do not define you. You have learned that growth comes from discomfort, that transformation is birthed from pushing through the fear. Every time you step outside of your comfort zone, you expand your limits, stretch your potential, and prove to yourself that you are capable of far more than you ever imagined. The more you take those steps, the more you begin to feel the strength within you. And in this strength, you will find the resilience to face anything, the power to overcome every obstacle, and the unwavering confidence to stand firm in your purpose. It's not about having all the answers right now. It's about taking action, even when you don't have it all figured out. The most powerful moments of growth come when you decide to move forward, even when you feel uncertain. You will not always know the next step, but if you trust yourself, if you keep moving, the path will reveal itself. And with each step, you will grow stronger, more confident, more aligned with the person you are becoming. Remember this: you are not defined by your past, your mistakes, or the challenges you've faced. You are defined by the strength you find within yourself, by the decisions you make every single day to rise above, to choose yourself, and to keep moving forward. The future you desire is within your reach, and all it takes is the courage to claim it, the belief in yourself to step into your power, and the willingness to never look back.